Hello, I'm Justin Kaufman in Road Assist, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about winter products that we use and just winter conditions and how we can get ready for the winter. First thing I'm going to talk about is antigel, and there are a variety of products out there that you can buy to treat your fuel. Typically, in some locations, truck stops will winterize their fuel to -10, TA and Petro will, but those are in remote locations, up in the north. If you buy fuel down in Florida, as an example, chances are good it's not going to be treated. And if you're running a load up north, you could be gelled unless you add antigel. So you got to pay attention to the fuel you're buying, whether it's got bio or not, and then the products that you can buy to treat your fuel further. First one I'm going to talk about is what we sell in all of our terminals. It's Fleetguard Winter Conditioner. And it actually treats 250 gallons of fuel, which means it'll do both your truck tanks and the reefer tank, and it reduces the cold filter plug point 30 degrees. So the normal plug point of diesel fuel depends on the refinery that it's refined in, and also whether it's bio or how much bio, but typically around 6 to 9 to 10 degrees is whenever filters plug without any additive in them. And so it'll get you down to -20 or so in most cases, but works really good. It's $5, so what you want to pay attention to whenever you're buying antigel is what it costs you to treat your fuel. So at our terminals, you pay $5 for this. That's 2 cents a gallon is what you pay to treat your fuel. Bringing up another one here, we've got Power Service, which is also found in a lot of truck stops. You'll find it at TA, Petro, Loves. This bottle here may cost you $17, $18. It treats 250 gallons. It does reduce the cold filter plug point 36 degrees, but you do want to pay attention to the labeling on the back, because it does say, whenever temperatures are below zero or whenever you're using biodiesel, that you want to double up on your usage. So once again, you just want to figure out how many cents per gallon and what the treating is, how low it gets your fuel. So the next antigel I want to talk about is Hal's Lubricant. We've kind of found this to be a gimmick here at Prime, mainly because one bottle will treat about 160 gallons, and if you read the back of the labeling, it'll say in below zero temperatures, double it up. So it's just very expensive, and it doesn't seem to reduce the cold filter plug point nearly as good as what Power Service or Fleetguard does. On the website it'll say it'll get it down to -12, but most fuel that you get from the truck stops is -10 whenever it's winterized. So whenever we're running in really cold temperatures, it may not do as much good as Power Service or Fleetguard. One thing that's a necessity for you to keep on board with you is a bottle of de-icer, fuel de-icer. And what this is for anytime you get gelled up, whether that's your reefer or your truck, you can pour this into your tanks and actually it'll ungel you. So I would make sure that you have a bottle on board at all times, just in case you happen to pick up some bad fuel or some unwinterized fuel. It'll get you ungelled quickly. So whenever you're using any of these products here, these antigels, make sure that you dump them in the tanks prior to filling up your fuel tanks. And that way, as you're filling up your fuel tanks, your reefer tank, your truck tanks, that antigel will spread throughout the fuel. So that's a necessity too. Next thing I wanted to talk about was de-icer. And you always want to make sure you have a bottle of de-icer on board with you too. If you have a lock, specifically, like let's say your trailer lock locks up and you can't get a key in it, you can spray some de-icer in that and get it unlocked. Your truck lock. So very handy stuff. Pair of gloves, pair of jumper cables are all necessities. The next thing I wanted to talk about was keeping some other basic tools on board with you. One, a flashlight, a good size hammer you can smack brake drums with, a pair of jumper cables here in case you need to hook up to your reefer and charge your truck batteries or use your truck batteries to start your reefer. There's a lot of things that we see in the wintertime. One is brake drums will actually get frozen to the shoes. And it usually happens if you're sitting overnight somewhere at a truck stop. You'll get in your truck, and we see where operators will just take off without doing a pre-trip. They'll make it a couple miles and they'll blow out a set of duals. You know, each tire, even on a set of duals, is, you know, $400 or $500 a piece. So it can easily, you know, be $1,000 to $1,500 road call. These super singles are of course $1,000 too, or if not more, plus the road call. So it's very expensive. But it's important whenever you get up in the morning, you do a thorough walk around. You make sure that your fifth wheel is still hooked up correctly. You actually roll forward, and whenever you do that, you can actually either mark your tires, get in your truck and pull forward where the mark's on the bottom side so that you can check the bottom side of the tires, or whenever you pull forward, just make sure that there's no skid marks where your brake shoes might be frozen to your drums. You know, that's the last thing we need. Also, a big cold winter problem that we have is dropping trailers. And it just comes down to the simple things. If your truck's been sitting around and ice and snow has accumulated on the fifth wheel, we got to get all that off of there and out of the jaw area. And then, you know, just standard practices is whenever you go to back under a trailer, you want to position the trailer where you push it up as you back under it. You hear it latch. You apply your parking brakes inside your truck. You get outside your truck, and this is the step that you just can't forget. With your flashlight, you've literally got to get underneath the trailer here, look into the jaw of the fifth wheel, and make sure that the jaw is wrapped completely around the trailer kingpin. Then you get out from underneath the trailer, make sure that your latch is all the way in. You get into your truck, you do a pull test, and then you're good to go. And like I said, the hammer is very important if your brakes are actually frozen to your drums and you see that skid mark or you see where your tires aren't moving. You can get under here on the trailer on the truck, bang on the brake drum, and a couple big hits will get that brake drum released from the shoes so that your wheels will turn. Another thing to keep on board are tire chains and cables. Those will come in really handy. A lot of states require those. Even if you're running in states that don't require them, if you get stuck, you can easily put on your chains and cables and get out and avoid a $400 or $500 pull out or winch out from a tow company. In some cases, it's even a lot more than that. So make sure that you have your cams, your chains, and your cables. One thing you never ever want to do is add antigel into your diesel exhaust fluid tank. Diesel exhaust fluid is mostly water, and it's designed to freeze and unfreeze. And actually there's a little heater in the tank to unfreeze the diesel exhaust fluid in cold temperatures so that it flows properly through the system. But never add anything to your diesel exhaust fluid. The antigel is specifically for diesel fuel and diesel fuel only. There's another thing that you always want to make sure you do in the winter time, and that's drain all of the water out of your air tanks. Your truck relies on air pressure for multiple things, including releasing the emergency brakes, applying the service brakes, shifting the transmission range solenoid so that you can shift between high and low ranges. But it also uses air pressure to purge DEF, diesel exhaust fluid, into the after treatment system. As you can imagine, if you get a lot of water in your system, it's going to cause all kinds of corrosion, rust, and it'll cause that doser for your DEF system to plug up. And then once that happens, you'll start getting check engine lights and codes. So if you never drained your air tanks, you need to know how. I'm going to show you really quick. Here's one of the tanks on a Cascadia. There are 2 pull cords. You want to pull each one of them for around 15 seconds and just make sure that there's no water coming out. If there's water coming out, continue to pull on the cord until you get all the water out of the tanks. Do it on both ends of this tank. As you can see, there is no water coming out of this tank, so it's good. There's also another tank, 2 tanks up here in front. You can actually pull down this cover for the diesel exhaust fluid, and you can pull both these cords for 15 seconds, get under here, and make sure there's no water coming out. Once you do that on a daily and weekly basis, you should be good. Thank you.